Here we go again. I mean, it's been almost a year since the last time I brought you an update on this situation.
You're not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking you to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And it seems like things aren't necessarily getting better. They're only getting worse.
Think if we just lower the rim so y'all can dunk like we dunk?
No.
And although there's been multiple propositions on how to improve the situation,
You're only playing basketball to dunk? Like, I'm not sure.
No, you playing.
Like, you just want to see me dunk on somebody? Like, I don't know.
it seems like WNBA players are way too full of themselves to accept any solution. So before we get to the content, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. And also check us out on our brand new Snapchat, TheFlightMike Snap, because I think I only have like 100 followers there so far. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, the NFL is finally back.
That's impossible!
But I'm gonna admit, the preseason is boring as shit. I mean, when the second stringers and third stringers come out, your boy does tend to fall asleep a little bit. But I found a way to make the preseason all the more interesting. Because ladies and gentlemen, we are back! Posting prize picks on the days that there are significant preseason games. Starting from the Hall of Fame game, all the way to the Super Bowl, your boy is going to be making picks on his Instagram story. The picks are free, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram to get them. And if you haven't signed up for prize picks, right now when you use my promo code microphone, you'll double your deposit up to $100. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsorship. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? In our last video on the WNBA, we discussed how Kelsey Plum made one of the most delusional requests of the WNBA that we've ever seen in this podcast.
You're not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking you to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Got it. So that's a huge misconception.
That's a huge misconception.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah, because every video is like, oh, this person gets paid this person gets paid that, right?
So I want to be really clear about that. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Right.
But the percentage of revenue, like, for example, they sell my jersey in Mandalay Bay, I don't get a dime.
You don't get any money from jersey sales?
That's great.
In the NBA, they have percentages of revenue shared for the players, right? So jersey sales, obviously their TV contracts, you see these every year, these contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah.
Massive.
But that's because their CBA, it negotiates where if the owners are making certain types of money, they get that as well.
Got it.
In the WNBA, that's not the case.
And the reason why we thought that this take was so ridiculous was at the time, the WNBA made about $60 million in revenue and took a loss on a year-to-year basis. It was just not worth the price tag to operate the WNBA. When you compare a league that generates $60 million in revenue versus a league that generates $10 billion in annual revenue, of course it makes a lot of sense when the top player in the WNBA is getting paid somewhere around $250,000, whereas the top player in the NBA gets paid about $52 million per year. And it seems like the #1 meme about the WNBA recently has been how boring the league is. Now, I want to make something completely clear. I'm not trying to say that the WNBA is boring because
Men are superior at everything.
Because I'm all for women getting their bag. I feel like there's ways that women have lucrative job opportunities that men don't necessarily have. I mean, for example, I have about 800,000 remarkable YouTube subscribers, and I have about 115,000 incredible Instagram followers. But if I was to decide to put in my little link tree in the About Me section, a link to my exclusive content, you guys wouldn't go there, would you? No, you probably wouldn't go there, and it probably wouldn't be as successful as, say, an Instagram model's exclusive content. And that's just the fact of the matter, and that's just the way the market is. Unless you guys think otherwise, then let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll entertain it for a second and then say, hell no! We're never gonna drop an OnlyFans. And I guess the reason why this conversation has been brought to light recently is because one of my favorite YouTubers, Gideon, recently posted a video that caught the eyes of everyone person in the basketball community, where he quite literally went to multiple WNBA games and toyed around with how boring it was. I mean, in the first WNBA game, don't get me wrong, he got the ball when it was knocked to him courtside and shot the ball and got kicked out. But in the second game, he quite literally bought 4 seats to a WNBA game and pretended to fall asleep during the WNBA game. Now, of course, some people thought this was hilarious. Some people thought it was rude. I personally think this is his lane, and I thought it was pretty funny. And at the end, he got banned from NBA and WNBA games. And although the WNBA has recently made significant progress in terms of revenue, and I want to say primarily because of the awesome women's March Madness that we had this past year, in addition to stars like Sabrina Ionescu, and the NBA really trying to push these stars, it seems like the league is on an upward trend. As a matter of fact, the league is projected to bring in between $180 million and $200 million in combined team and league revenue, up from roughly $102 million in 2019. At that point, revenue sharing could kick in, and that's quite impressive considering that this league is essentially a league that runs throughout the summertime. But regardless, they are not even close to where the NBA is, and it's been 27 seasons, and for the most part, people still think the WNBA is a very boring product. And the thing that I think is really holding this league back is how self-righteous and delusional some of its stars are. There's a very easy way to make the WNBA significantly more entertaining, and you don't have to be a genius to figure out what this way is. It's simply, well, I'll let Shaq say it.
Years ago, the WNBA game was here. NBA game is here. Now it's here. I have a way to make it equal. Just listen to me now. You ready?
All right.
We've heard it.
Yeah, we've.
So in beach volleyball, the women's net is maybe half an inch lower. You think if we just lower the rim so y'all could dunk like we dunk, that'll give y'all more oomph than you already have?
No.
I mean, because listen, y'all are doing the step backs, the pull backs. Y'all doing everything we're doing, but I don't see a lot of people going up with 2 hands and, you know, back.
Oh, it's coming. Opportunity is a...
So you don't think if we just drop it to 9, 10
Nah,
and a half?
I guarantee. Layla, she's into dance, but my next child will be drop step dunking, I promise.
I'm still thinking about that move that Coop used and stationary in and out to the pull-up.
Shaq suggested to Candace Parker that they should lower the rim. Bear in mind that the WNBA has been a thing for about 27 seasons now, and you can count each and every single time a woman has dunked in a WNBA game. And every time this suggestion is made, WNBA players take offense to it. I mean, hell, if you open up another article, the title of the article in regards to the video clip I showed you is Shaq mansplains to Candace Parker, a WNBA star who can dunk, that her league should lower the baskets for dunks. Look, man, I think Shaq is just suggesting what will put more butts in seats of these games. I don't think it necessarily has to do with the talent level of WNBA stars. I feel like NBA players will have as much success on 12-foot or 13-foot hoops as opposed to 10-foot hoops. But the reason why the NBA doesn't do that is because the slam dunk and the alley-oop is one of the most entertaining aspects of the game. The concept of a posterizer or a defensive player meeting another offensive player at the rim for a huge defensive play is one of the most exciting plays in basketball. And I hate whenever a brilliant suggestion gets turned into something that is an attack on an entire gender, because I don't think this is an attack on women. I think this is a simple solution to make the game significantly more interesting. And it wasn't just this one particular instance, because at the same time, this was suggested a couple of years ago. In 2018, Nneka Ogwumike was asked what she thought about the rim being lowered.
Probably one of the most offensive questions you can ask a WNBA player. And I'm not trying to read you right now. I'm just trying to get you to understand why it's not logical to ask us to do that. So, we're constantly being compared to men. We have people excelling at a 10-foot rim. And now you want us to lower the rim so we can continually be compared, only to still be criticized because now you have someone like me who has done what she's done. Now I have to relearn the game to appease people who don't want to watch it for what it is.
How about that?
You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, go to a game first. before deciding.
And the one thing that people aren't paying attention to is the NBA makes these sacrifices as well for the sake of the league being more entertaining. What's a good example of this? Well, how about 2 years ago when they instituted the James Harden rule? At some point, you must remember, James Harden was averaging over 30 points per game with the Houston Rockets. He eventually gets traded to the Brooklyn Nets. He has an injury-riddled season. And by the time he comes back the next year, he gets shocked that he can't get to the free throw line as much. And while you might think that the NBA just thought it was cheating or cheesy that James Harden got to the line so much, I, on one hand, thought that it just showed how crafty of a basketball player and intelligent of a basketball player James Harden was to get to the free throw line the amount of times he did. But at the same time, this makes the game of basketball significantly more boring. I hate to admit it, but the free throw is one of the most boring scenarios in the entire NBA. Usually it's the time where most basketball fans will take out their phones and check some other social media or check how their picks are doing on Prize Picks or something. So the NBA recognized this and realized they could speed up their games by making free throws less prevalent, by also giving a nice little bump to defense by instituting what I like to call the James Harden rule. So it's not like the NBA shies away from making these changes either, but due to hubris and women wanting to say that, hey, we're just as good as men and we could shoot on the same baskets as men, and we'd rather sacrifice the amount of athletic dunks we get per game in order to prove that, they're not willing to entertain it. I mean, we all know this clip of Tracy McGrady also suggesting to Breanna Stewart lowering the rim for the WNBA.
I mean, my thought on it is, you know, I've been playing basketball on a 10-foot hoop my whole life. So to move it to 9.5, it's gonna take a long time to get used to that. And then also, like, we're only playing basketball to dunk? Like, I'm not sure.
No, you playing to...
Like, you just want to see me dunk on somebody? Like, I don't know.
And I guess the thing that bothers me the most, man, is it seems like whenever successful NBA legends who've made millions of dollars, who understand the entertainment value of the sport of basketball, make these types of suggestions, the media will brand it as mansplaining or men talking down to women. When in reality, they're just trying to make the product significantly more entertaining, because at the end of the day, if the WNBA does well, that's good for the sport of basketball in general. It's not like there are two leagues that are competing, but at the same time, you're having the women in those leagues complaining about the fact that they're getting paid $250,000 for about 4 months of work for a part-time job, and they're not willing to make any sacrifices in order to help the WNBA's bottom line, in order to make it a sport that more people will watch, so we could have less of this and more of this.
What's she gonna do?
At the end of the day, a sport isn't going to be successful unless if you get people interested in the story of it. If people don't care who wins the NBA Finals, if people aren't emotionally invested in the NBA Finals, then no one's going to watch the NBA Finals. Whether that's last year when we were all watching to see if the Miami Heat could be the first 8th seed ever to win the NBA championship, or the year before if the Boston Celtics will finally win a championship, or if the Golden State Warriors dynasty had one more in them. At the end of the day, if you can't get people to be interested in the sport, whether it's the actual on-court product or the storylines of the product, then nobody is going to watch. Now, the good news is the WNBA is on the up and up. And the current argument from Sue Bird and Kelsey Plum is the fact that they want the same amount of revenue distribution as NBA stars get. And typically, if the league is profitable, I would agree. I think they both deserve the same percentage. Currently, WNBA players get 20% of the shared revenue earned from the entire league, whereas NBA players get 50% of the shared revenue earned from the league. But what's the difference between the WNBA and the NBA? The WNBA is in year 27, and they're technically still a failing league, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The NBA is a cash cow that is so successful that you're seeing players that are mid-tier players or bench warmer players earning generational wealth just from signing a contract. And the reason why that is because the NBA generates that much revenue, whereas the WNBA is being subsidized by the NBA. At the end of the day, if I saw these players dunk on an 8-foot rim as opposed to a 10-foot rim, it wouldn't really bother me at all whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I'd be more likely to watch it. I mean, you don't necessarily even notice a difference when you're watching on television, and if it means that we could see more athletic ability and acrobatic ability from women, then I'm all for it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.